How's it going, guys? Daniel Moffat here. So we're taking a look at our CR500AF project here, and boy, do we have some exciting news. I actually managed to do the hardest part on this project. Well, the hardest part was going to be for me, and I welded on the front brackets. I actually did some aluminum welding, and we actually did this with a MIG welder. Funny enough, a gas MIG welder. We just took out the steel flux core wire, and it has an argon gas line feed, so I sanded it down a lot to be kind of like flush with the outside of the frame, because I'm probably going to end up putting a bash plate on there. But yeah, there were holes in these little brackets, and I went ahead and I just MIG'd the wire from the bottom out, and then I just kind of sanded it flat. So one of the problems is really silly, but I accidentally, the bolt that we had in it, so we put the bolt through it so that we could line it up, and then we gave it this little tack on the top. But then after we did that, we actually couldn't get the motor out, because even though we ground down most of the flare, there was still enough, or I'd accidentally created like a little burr or something on the other side right here, so that the bolt, we welded the bolt and we pinned it to the motor. So then we had to actually just scooch the motor over and just saw it, and you can see we accidentally kind of touched it with the angle grinder. Oh, it's gonna bother me till my dying days. But I mean, it's not pretty, but it's definitely, it's on there. It's certainly welded. I didn't do right there because that was a part where I had ground down, but it is welded. It's welded on the back, on this side, on the bottom, all around. I mean, we'll see if the vibration from the CR motor vibrates it loose. Let's see, we got it welded on this side. I didn't put any welding right here, just because then the bolt definitely wouldn't have fit. But we actually had to get creative with that too. So I have the same lengths of 3/8 all thread here. Oh wait, hold on, I want to put a pin in this for just 1 second. We'll get around to our bolt setup in a second. But before I get to that, I have to also show you, here's some of our early attempts to fasten this DRZ400 bash plate to this cut up RMZ 250, and it's rough, as you can see. Some of the welds look better than others. We were just kind of getting it dialed in. This was our first aluminum welding with a MIG welder ever, and you know, once you kind of get it figured out, it welds pretty good. Some of those are a lot better than others, you can see. And like I said, this was me and my buddy just kind of figuring it out. But like, we had bolts through this, and I pulled those bolts out, and then I threw this plate, and it's like, you know, it rings with the rest of the thing, so it's pretty solid, so it's on there. So yeah, so I might have the ability to do aluminum welding now. Granted, those are kind of ugly. These are, I don't know, I think these look okay. This was the second attempt, obviously, and we did a little better job. I think next time we'll do a little better too. But so back to the bolt. So yeah, so the bolt, this traditional bolt, doesn't want to go in, as you can see, because the bonnet hits the frame, and that little bonnet, it will kind of fit in there between the tab and the frame, like kind of right there, but then it pins the bolt, so then you can't remove it. So we gotta take that out. So we have this guy, and we're gonna go ahead and twist a nut. Actually, I might remake this to make it a teeny tiny bit bigger, but also as you tighten the bolt on the bottom, it takes this play out a little bit, and the necessary distance of the bolt is a little less. So we're gonna thread it on just enough, and then that, oh no, I'm gonna hit myself. Yeah, we do it like this, but then we have to see if we can put it in from this side. Yeah. Right, because on this side, then you have to make sure the nut is flat against the frame. Okay, So now that bolt can't turn. So that's like a hold point, kind of. But for whatever reason on this side, I think this one can. Alright, yeah, so there's there's just enough room on this side so that this can spin. So if I hold it on the other side, I can tighten it. It feels like it's tightening, actually. Yeah, I might have to get something better for this. Maybe like an Allen key instead of like a hex. So I can have a much smaller profile, a little rounder one. This is close. But as you can see, we got the bolt, and the bolt in the back is in. And the bottom, sorry, not the back. The back wasn't in yet. Sorry, there's the bottom bolt. And now we're gonna actually put the middle bolt through, but you should already be able to see if I turn the frame a little bit. You should be able to see how the motor, because we put the swing arm in, and I had it in the bolt in the bottom, and then I put a bolt through, and then we tacked the brackets. And then, you know, the top motor mount is the most forgiving since you get to make a bracket for it. It's the only bracketed one. Everything else is like a hard point to the frame. So, yeah, this thing's going to vibrate a lot. But yeah, I think these through holes that were here that we welded through to the frame and out and then sanded flat, I think these are going to make a big difference. Because it's not just holding on the side, it's also holding in the center in these three places. So I think it'll be very sturdy. And then yeah, the bolt hole is a little narrow. And then yeah, it's gonna be. I might have to go to Boltco and get like an Allen keyed bolt, or I could even use a longer piece of all thread and then just yeah. There's options. This is a solvable problem. The hard part was welding the aluminum, and we have that now. Thank God. But yeah, I'm going to put a bash plate on this thing, I think, for sure. Okay, so let's go ahead. Enough rambling. Let's put the swing arm on. Alright, here she is in all her glory, with the swing arm attached to the back and the bolt just kind of threaded on a little bit. We can see that the motor has just a little bit of play to it, which is perfect because all the bolts are threaded. The one on the bottom, and then this one, and the main bolt. So when even just tightening this one on the bottom will completely take this gap out plus more. Since we've removed the cross member right here, these two pieces are very willing to kind of ebb and flow with the tightening and loosening of the bolts. But yeah, we can see that I mean, we got it pretty much. I mean, there's only a couple things left to do. I have to, since I took this apart, to make sure that there was no like dirt dauber sand in the jug. I'm gonna have to buy a new seal for it right here, a new gasket, since I boogered the old one taking it out. I tried to save it, but I couldn't do it. And then yeah, we need to get the correct 91 to 2001 plastic slide, so that we can have a chain, and then buy all the little accoutrement. But yes, very soon we will have a fully functional bike. Oh, actually, right now also I'm gonna spin this bike around, and we're gonna take the clutch off, and I'm gonna drain the clutch out and replace the. I'm not gonna replace the clutch plates, but like I had sticky or oil in it, and so the clutch doesn't want to let out. So we're gonna clean the clutch plate maybe with some IPA. Oh, damn. This is going to be such a cool, beautiful bike. I'm so excited. Alright, so here she is on this side. We've got her spun around. So now I'm just going to kind of lean it on its side so that we can have access to this plate. We're going to take it off. There's not a lot of oil in here, but I don't want it to all spill out, so we're just going to kind of tilt the bike so we can open this little honey jar up without all the honey spilling out. Alright, we got it tipped up and wedged, so let's go ahead and take this plate off now. Alright, we got 6-8mm bolts counterclockwise. Okay, there we go. There's the plate off. There's a little seal on the back. Make sure that stays in, because that's going to need to be going back in when you put that back in. Alright, so now the problem we have here is that we had oil that's too thick get between these plates, so we're gonna have to break these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Break these 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Break these 6 bolts free with a 10mm socket, clockwise again. Alright, on second thought, if you have it available, you're going to want to take that 10mm and you're going to put it on an impact and then block the piston up, or even better would be if you had the cylinder on and you could just like cram like a rag down inside of it to stop the piston from being able to reach, you know, full stroke. So yeah, then you put it on reverse. And this, because the impact will help put less real stress on it. I'll make sure that that piston doesn't... Yeah, they come off really fast. Probably don't even need the wood, honestly, but we're going to use it just to... Yeah, see, just to make sure piston doesn't touch anything besides the soft surface that is the wood. Oh. Let's also make sure I don't lose my wood. See, it's moving, it's doing stuff. It's trying to move that cylinder. Alright, I think it's like one more. Okay. Alright. Suicidal wood, you're no longer needed. Take that out at least. Okay, and then from there you can probably just use the end of the socket. We're gonna just go ahead and take these out. Yeah, I'm not really like 100% positive. If I didn't just like kick it from neutral down into first, it wouldn't have just like broke the clutch free that way, but I didn't want to be like stuck in too high a throttle on a CR500, you know, forced into gear permanently. So yeah, we're gonna be sure. We're going to be sure, and we're going to finish taking this off, and we're going to clean these plates and make sure there's no thick, gummy oil forcing them together. Okay, so now that we have the springs out, this little node in the center should be what the ball and rod push on to disengage the clutch. So I guess I can probably like pull the clutch cable and see if that disengages right now. Let me do that. Oh, yeah, look what happens as I pull the cable. Well, it's pushing that clutch plate out. There's no springs to push it back in, so that was a good way to separate it. So we know that it's not disengaging because the clutch plate isn't being pushed. It's probably because, yeah, the oil was just too thick holding it together. Okay, well, I have a theory as to why my clutch isn't disengaging, and I don't think it's because of dirty plates anymore. So here's the little rod that goes down in there. That's supposed to go inside of this little pusher plate, right? And this little pusher plate pushes your clutch out, and that's what takes the pressure off of the plates, which lets your clutch spin. That's what, you know, when you're pulling your clutch in, you're disengaging the motor from the clutch. So I'm fairly certain that there's supposed to be a ball that goes between here. So I think the last dude who had this bike, I think he took this clutch apart, and I think he dropped the ball out of here. So what that does is the ball adds a little bit of extra distance, so when you pull that clutch in, it pushes out extra far to disengage those clutch plates. So I'm pretty sure... So like I have one from a KTM right here, and I double checked, and so yeah, there's the little ball, right? There's the little ball floating around there, you see it. It's just a little steel ball bearing right there, and it goes between this rod and this cup here. And I just looked on the parts manual on Motorsport, and yeah, it sure shows there being a ball. So now my only question is did he put the ball in first? Is it the ball down there? So hard to say, but yeah, so I'm gonna cut the video here because there's just a few things I need to order and experiment with. I need to order that slide, and I need to order the gasket. So I'm going to order a few things, but yeah, so this is an update so far. But yeah, getting really close.